Look at this Cerberus. Look at this thing. This thing looks fucking sick. That is super nice looking. I love the use of the RGB again. We're gonna be taking a look at a Canon keys board today. This is the Cerberus. You know, I've been looking forward to this one here. It starts at 403 Canadian, and then for US dollars, let me just convert it really quick. It starts at 285. It can get pretty expensive if you go with like the demonic version plus wireless, and then you can even build your own colors. But it has some interesting colorways. I don't know what colorway this is. Listen, anytime a keyboard gets built and is passed around through content creators, I want Manic to be the person I received the board from. Manic also put in some cool little Franken switches he's been working on. The turnip and the sherry. Oh my God, there are so many interesting parts to these. We're gonna just try these as space bars today. These are super cool. But let's take a look at the board. The Cerberus it's gonna be a nice little FRL TKL. I think we all really enjoy that layout. I think it's cool. It can either come in a WinKey or WinKey-less, which is fun as well. The wireless version does come with the battery, so you don't have to buy that separately, which is pretty standard these days. I don't think we've seen it too much. Let's take a look at the board first. Ooh, the navy blue. Oh, this is pretty in person. This actually looks way better in person than it does on the website. Sorry. Easy mate connector, which, you know, mixed bag. I always have to say it, but, you know, I'll just keep saying my opinion. The other daughter board over here also has a little easy mate there too. But we got an internal weight, which is nice to see. I really like this engraving. This is really cool. That is a neat looking engraving. Very nice curves on this too. This is gonna be a hidden screw design. I really like the separation from this side plate. I think this is a neat little touch. Kind of gives the board some standout from the crowd. Also, the bezels, even though they're thick, I think this kind of makes it have this appearance that they're a little bit thinner, which is cool. Here's that side profile again for you guys. Very, very standard shape here. Nothing to write home about, but again, I think what this makes this more unique is just because it's like this little side plate. Oh, you know what? I like how the design continues here on the bottom as well. This is very pretty. Believe it or not, this wouldn't be the colorway I probably get for this. When I'm thinking board, I'm thinking something like red and black. I'm thinking something a little bit more mean. And then you have the back over here. Again, a very nice curve here on the back. You can kind of see it. There it is with the light. And then it comes back with a little bit of a recessed USB-C. The seam is on an interesting spot over here. This might be a hit or miss for some people. I don't think this bothers me none, but the seam is right above this kind of curve that kind of brings you to the back of the board here. Either way, I think the brass cover for this, as well as the brass on the bottom, will give you enough sound diffusion. Now, let's take a look at the PCB. Honestly, nice looking board. Price point's not that bad for this. Actually, let's see what the front height is. What do they have it listed at? 17.75. Dude, I'm loving that every brand lately has been doing low front heights. Give me more of that. 6.5 degree typing angle, internal brass weight. So yeah, the cover doubles as an internal weight, and it weighs about 1.4 kilos. And then the eyes have RGB, as you guys can tell, because there's a wire coming from it, which are programmable. Very, very cool. Price points, I think, very good on this, to be honest. Cool. Let's take a look at the PCB and plate as well. You know, out of all the Canon Keys projects recently, I think this has been the most fun. Ooh, few play options. We got FR4. I kind of want to use PC. I used PC and it was really nice. I think I'm also going to use PC. Nothing against FR4 at all, because there are some boards that FR4 just like hits with. But for me, today, I don't know, I'm not feeling it. And then this is the hot swap. The hot swap is a little bit limited. Again, I know this has 7U. However, it doesn't have everything. You know, if we're gonna criticize one way, we have to criticize the other as well. You do get split, which is interesting. Like, I would love to see the option for a full right shift. I think that would make a lot of sense, because I would still probably build this with a full right. And then I would also like to see perhaps a 6.25U option for this as well as even a stepped caps lock. Okay, never mind. On the photo for the daughter board, or for the, for the motherboard rather, the PCB, you do get all those options I just mentioned. Never mind, it just wasn't in the notes. Let me triple check to make sure I'm not stupid here, 1 second. But yes, you do get all those options. My mistake. It just wasn't in the change notes. Lots of options here. So you can kind of see we get all the bottom options. Just this one here doesn't have it. So you do get split here, as well as full right, And then you get all the spacebar options as well as stepped and regular. Cool, that's all I wanted. I'm glad this is gonna happen. That makes a lot of sense to me. And then for the solderable PCB, just as many options plus ISO, which is good to see as well. Off to a pretty solid start. And then in terms of how this is mounted, just like the Brutal keyboards they're saying, so it's a single-sided gasket. Plate can make contact with the gaskets on the bottom of the case and the actual case itself at the top. This results in a keyboard that mimics the classic sound of top, which I didn't mind the Brutal V2 series. The way they sound, it was good. I have no complaints or quarrels with that. Oh, we're gonna be using some marshmallows. Cannon Keys has some really interesting boards coming out. This board and the Vita, very interesting. Interesting, so there's 4 screws in the bottom and there's a hidden screw design as well. Not for nothing, I think, not so much criticism here because I think both of these work. I might just suggest next time to just go all the way through and just add screw points on this. I really don't think screws look bad. If that's the aesthetic you're looking for, then go for it though. This is not really an objective point here, just subjective. We already have everything installed. I don't think I need to do anything for this. So just to show you guys some stuff here, there are little force brake pads. So apparently there's some RGB daughter board assembly issues that have been fixed, just to read you guys some stuff. The alignment pins were not factory installed, factory fitted, so they aren't tight in this case. This causes the plate to jostle a bit if you vigorously shake the case. I'm almost tempted to just remove these for the time being, but we'll leave them in for now. I don't think there should be issues of this causing some weird sound, but maybe that's a good point to note if there is some weird sound for this. This will be fixed in production. That's cool to hear too. The tape on the Easy Mate on the top case is for me. Oh, is that so it doesn't short or something? Oh, is it because the Easy Mate's just a little bit loosey-goosey? So that doesn't come with it. But we got some force brake pads in the internals here. Little notes. We kind of ran into this force brake pad on the Reverie as well. If you guys remember, the problem with putting these little pads here, I can't take it off right now, nor do I want to take it off, but there's actually a slot that these are engraved into. Like there's a CNC area where you're supposed to put these. The problem with that, right, and I don't think this is gonna cause an issue for this particular board, but just for the future, you can press down and actually compress these past the point of where the force brake would even matter. So the force brake here, if this is meant to be some sort of force brake, these lose all credibility, maybe you can use as a word, because they're just going to sink inwards with any sort of pressure and then cause the same amount of impact for the top and bottom anyways. I think in the Reverie, they were going to change that out. I think for this board here, again, maybe not that it matters. I don't know if it'll matter so much for the PC plate, but I would also like to see this just readjust it. So the pads are optional. I did see the pads are optional. That was one of the notes that they had mentioned to me. They said little force brake pads that go above the plate should be removed for optimal top mount sound. It doesn't sound exactly like top mount, but it's more similar than what it ended up as. The force brakes are meant as an optional piece. I guess my point more so is the optional piece. Like I think this should have just been flat. That way there, if people did want to use an optional piece, it doesn't necessarily get compressed down. I'm not saying this is going to happen. I've just kind of stating something I've noticed. Maybe these work great for this particular plate. Just as something to talk about here, what I've seen from this in the past, these little force brake pads that are, you know, slotted into a spot where it's been recessed in. On the bottom, we have our gaskets and we have these alignment pins here. And I think that's really it. The alignment pins probably will be necessary, so let's just leave them in for now. No spacebar mounting point, which is good to see. The mounting points are actually pretty far apart from the spacebar, which is good, in case you guys were curious about that too. Overall though, so far there's nothing that screams bad about this board, because I think if you were interested in the overall design of this board, you'll probably be really happy with this so far. Although this is a little awkward with this top case. I don't think I absolutely love the way this assembles. A little finicky, but that's okay. You know, maybe I take that back. I don't love the way the cord here is placed. I think a better way to implement this would have just been adding a little hole through the PCB over here. Yeah, I think adding a little hole to this PCB plate combo here on the side would have been a very smart idea. Oh, did this pop out too? Again, one of the pitfalls of using Easy Mates. Upasa's gonna hate that I keep bringing this up, by the way. This is part of the trade-off of using these Easy Mate connectors. Like after you use them a bunch of times, the plastic sidewalls, it's not so much the connector itself, it's mostly the plastic, because it's so brittle and fragile, tends to just give up There are some benefits to using this stuff though, but again, this has been used by a few people, so I don't know how many times this particular Easy Mate connector has gone in and out. They did mention there's a problem with the daughter board, by the way. If you guys remember the notes that I read, they did say there's shorting with the daughter board. I was really hoping to kind of take a look at that. You know what I'm gonna do? Okay, I'm just gonna tape this down. I'm just gonna like suck it up and tape it, dude. I don't think it's the cable, Manic. There's only the one. I think it's just really these. Let's just do like this. Tape mod 2024. Absolutely, dude. This is a demo PCB and stuff too, so I don't know how much can change or what's gonna change. All right, we got this working, but the RGB is not turning on still for this one. I'm not trying to defend this, or I'm not trying to hate on this any more than what we're already talking about here. The problem with JSTs for some designs is the JST will be a bit too thick for some of the designs people want to do. So Molex is technically, the Easy Mates are a little bit thinner, which can make the design work better. All right, we got it. Perfect. No, we got it. No more cables overlapping at all. So sadly, everything else is really easy to build. This was a bit finicky, huh? This was indeed a bit finicky for this. Yeah, I was gonna be so sad if I didn't get to experience the eyes of the Cerberus. Ooh, this could be fun. We can use finally some of these novelties. Nautilus is a really good choice for this. Interesting. All right. Oh, this looks so good with Nautilus on it. Oh! Wow, this looks so good with this. Definitely leaning a little bit, yeah, bassy for sure. But you know what it is? It's probably also the polycarbonate plate. Typing feel is pretty firm, but you're not feeling any feedback. It's very stiff. Look at this Cerberus. Look at this thing. This thing looks fucking sick. That is super nice looking. I love the use of the RGB again. I know I mentioned this earlier, but I think this is super nice. This is a very interesting way to implement some of that RGB, and I think that's amazing. That's gonna be fun to take pictures of. This sounds pretty nice. It's definitely bassy sounding. I kind of like the way it sounds a little bit more. It's very full sounding too, but definitely more bassy. Let's try some different switches for some of the keys here, because marshmallows are a bit on the lower side. Not for nothing, a polycarbonate plate's probably not gonna be like its best friend. You know what? I'll try one of these Franken switches from Manic first, and then we'll try some of our other ones. Oh, it's a linear stem. Oh, it's just a really short. Damn, that is kind of fun. It's an NK Silk Miclan bottom, KNC keys linear stem, MX 1A cherry top, and a silk spring. I'd figure this one here would be really loud sounding for this particular one here, but I think it's just this board's a little bit on the deeper, bassier side. All right, we got our Cherry Nixie. Time to try this. Definitely a bit louder. This sounds more plasticky though with the Cherry. Again, Cherry for me is hit and miss with PC. Although I'm gonna open this up for one moment though, just to... They did note that these are basically the wrong size, the wrong tolerance, these little standoffs here. So you can see this is jittering up and down. So I think maybe what happened is when we closed the case, I think we closed it so the PCB was actually touching the bottom of the case over here. They did say this is already getting corrected because these move around pretty easily. And that's why this is shimmying back and forth. So let's actually do that now so the PCB is not touching anything. All right, so maybe that's why the PCB, maybe it felt a little bit flat in some cases here. Give this another little sound demo over here now. So much better. I don't hear that overly bassy, metallic-y undertone. Oh yeah, that's way cleaner. You can tell, I can see it a little bit. It needs the alignment pins to be better. I don't have any of the curries ready in it. Even this sounds better over here too. All right, I really like this. Definitely leans a bit bassier though. So if you wanted a bit of a bassier sounding keyboard, believe it or not, I think everything about this board sounds definitely on the bassy signature here. I don't think going with the FR4 plate was going to be a good choice in my opinion. I think FR4 is going to be too bright and also kind of plastic and shallow. I don't know, I just have a bad feeling about using FR4. I think the PC plate's definitely really nice for this. The board's designed really fun. I think this has a really fun look to it. A few suggestions for the team. I know the JST connectors are probably not the most ideal here. I feel like the Molex connectors are eventually going to be a pain in the ass. Again, longevity-wise, I want these products to last for people. This is me urging every brand right now to try to not use Molex or /EasyMate. Maybe try to go back to JST. I know there's a reason why people use them. They have a lower height to them, meaning you can put them in some pretty crazy spots. But again, I think for the average person who might not be well versed on maybe taking very good care of how they push it in, and you know, sometimes I've even had problems with it. This is my encouragement to go back to just using a push-in connector like the JST. The next thing I would say is this wire on the side is very finicky. I would really suggest putting a small hole in the PCB end plate. That way there you can run the wire through that and you wouldn't run the risk of crimping or clamping the wire on the side, and it's less finicky and a better overall build experience. The other things have already been noted as changes. For example, the posts are going to be changing. A lot of the other small little issues, they said there's like a grounding problem with the PCB or the daughter board that's going to be fixed. I think the last note, if I'm being as critical as I possibly can, this is not objective, this is more subjective for this point here. Find it a smidge confusing why there's, I mean, I get why, but maybe I don't truly. There's 4 screws underneath, and then there's also a hidden screw design around the case. I feel like that's a bit confusing for this. Not the end of the world, but just something I feel like maybe can slow down the build experience or make it a little bit weird. But overall, it feels good. I'd say for what's supposed to feel and type like a top mount, even though it's not a top mount, this bottom gasket only, it is stiff, but it's also quite soft. Like where the spacebar is, it has enough give, and I can kind of demo that to you guys. You get the give with the spacebar, which I think works. It sounds nice, it's very bassy. I love the overall design of it. I saw that Manic said that they might add these Cerberus eyes as indicators. That would be super, super cool. And if they can get that working as indicator LEDs, I truly think this would be a fucking sick little design. I think with a few minor fixes, this could be perfect. But if you're looking for an FRL TKL, this definitely has a pretty unique design to it. Other than that, really like it. I think this is going to be a winner. The front height being like, what, under 18 mil? Beautiful. This feels really good to type on. And the sound profile is there too. I really like this. Bye everybody, love you, and bye-bye.